In this video, I'm going to be vibe coding with the newly released Qwen 3.6 Plus preview, which released yesterday inside of OpenRouter for free. That's right, you can send all of your data and your entire code base to China if you'd like today using this model inside of OpenRouter. You can see that it has a 1 million context and they're obviously serving it for free. But if we look at Qwen 3.5 Plus, you can see the normal pricing of this model family is 26 cents per million on the input and $1.56 per million on the output. So this is an incredibly cheap model, emphasis on cheap. That's kind of what we see from these Chinese models. But I will say in this video, I have already put this through BridgeBench. I've tested it, and I'm going to be testing this further using a real world vibe coding workflow using OpenCode to put this model to the test. With that being said, if you haven't already liked, subscribed, and joined the Discord community, make sure you do so. And with that being said, let's get right into testing out Qwen 3.6. Okay, so I just launched 6 OpenCode agents inside of my agent development environment, BridgeSpace. And what I now want to do is I now want to put it through a real vibe coding workflow. And then while it works, I'm going to show you some of the benchmarks inside of BridgeBench, which I ran it through this morning. So first things first, this is what we're going to be working on. This is a standard NestJS website. I'm also going to be putting it through a workflow to try and one-shot a mobile app to go along with this. But you guys can see here, this is a very basic website. This is actually a passion project of mine that I haven't touched in like maybe 3 months. But what I want to do is I now want to revisit it because I'm really not comfortable putting this model through my actual production code base because it's going to send all of the data to China. So I don't really want to do that, but let's just pass this in and let's start to prompt it. I want you to do an in-depth review of this NestJS website, and I want you to update the theme and styling so that the dark mode is changed to use, and I'm going to use, it's going to be OF, and then the light mode is a standardized light mode. Would you do an in-depth review and help me update the theme and styling of the site? And then the next thing I want to do is I'm going to drop this in and I'm going to pass in Vibecademy. Again, I want you to do an in-depth review of the website. Right now, it is incredibly plain, and I actually want to integrate Three.js and some animations and change up the landing page of the website to be more unique, more modern, use ShadCN, and just have a custom feel to it. Right now, it's very cookie cutter, very standardized. Would you review this and help me update and integrate a completely new theme for the homepage of the website? Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is this is actually going to be the interesting one here. So I want you to do an in-depth review of Vibecademy, and I now want you to create a React Native application that uses Expo. And all I want is to create a working React Native Expo app that uses the latest version of React Native and Expo, and just have a single welcome screen that says a little bit about Vibecademy and then has a get started button or a sign in button. Review this and create the project accordingly. You should create it at the root of this folder that you're in right now and just call it Vibecademy Mobile. Okay, so Vibecademy Mobile is getting dropped in, so let's paste this in, and now let's see how good it is at security. So let's drop in Vibecademy API, and let's see if it can pick up on any security vulnerabilities. I want you to do an in-depth review of Vibecademy API, and I want you to identify any security vulnerabilities that you find inside of the application. So let's drop this in, and I will say, I don't use OpenCode very often when we do have these, let's just do this, okay, perfect. So when we do have these new model releases that are out of OpenCode, it is nice to kind of have this basically like OpenCode you can easily integrate with OpenRouter. It is out of the box. It's probably the easiest way to integrate with OpenRouter models because in Cursor you have to do all this like weird stuff with it, and I don't really like it. But OpenCode, I will say I like their approach. I really do like OpenCode. I want you to do a significant revamp of this application. And okay, so look at this, chat. We're already seeing rate limit. So rate limit exceeded, free models per minute, retrying in 11 seconds. So this is actually I wanted to test this out because, okay, is this, okay, we have to submit this. Okay, so you can see here that I hooked up with OpenCode Zen for this agent. I hooked up with the OpenRouter Direct here, and then OpenCode Zen because what I wanted to try out is how good are the limits from OpenRouter, and then how good are the limits via OpenCode Zen. So this will be a good test of that. It already looks like these are dropping in. And so let's see, revamp of this application and change the styling to use, and then we're going to do OF, oops, I did OF. For the dark mode, and then just a standardized pure white for the light mode. Review this in depth and do a complete revamp of the application. Okay, so I now am going to test, I want to show you guys the speed. So what you can notice right off the bat here is that, okay, this one already finished, and that actually finished pretty quickly. And let's go over here and see, okay, like let's refresh. Is that updated correctly? Let's see. Yeah, I mean, it says that it updated, but that doesn't look like that doesn't look like OF, to be honest, but we'll take a look at that in a second. The next thing I do want to show you guys is, let's go over to BridgeBench, and I do want to share with you guys the benchmarks that are now coming out of this model. So check this out. So BridgeBench v2 is now starting to roll out, and every single day we're updating the latest benchmarks, and we're adding in benchmarks. So the hallucination benchmark is a new benchmark that we've added, and I want to draw your attention to how good Qwen 3.6 plus actually is doing on this hallucination benchmark. So first things first, this model in general, this model family is pretty good when it comes to the hallucination rate. You can see that it actually, Qwen 3.5 is right here, so you can see it had a fabrication rate of 29%, but it was improved with 3.6. You can see that was reduced by about 2.5%. And that's a nice jump. You'll notice that slightly, but again, it's not as good. It's way off from some of these frontier models. Obviously, Grok 4.2 absolutely crushes it on the hallucination rate. This is the best model in the world when it comes to hallucination rate. Grok 4.2 reasoning, Claude Opus 4.6, 16.7%, GPT 5.4. So there is a pretty big gap between some of these frontier models and then some of the Chinese models. But remember, once you factor in cost to that, it's like you really do have to kind of do a trade-off. But you know, if you do have the money to spend, it really doesn't make sense to be using Qwen 3.6 when it comes to the hallucination rate, because that will make a big difference. You'll notice that, right? A 10% reduction in the hallucination rate, you'll notice that. But let's go over to the UI benchmark. This is one that has not yet rolled out yet. The Qwen 3.5 one has not rolled out, but the Qwen 3.6 one has. And I do want to show you guys this. What is it? This game here? Yeah. So this is the breakout game, and this is really interesting because with this game, what it really shows about the model when it comes to the UI capabilities is that it creates very simple UI. And even though in the OpenRouter description it literally said, yeah, this model's front-end design capabilities are really good, I would say, yeah, like this is good, but it doesn't have the uniqueness that's really needed to succeed, in my opinion. We'll see what happens with that OpenCode instance that is running, the complete, homepage revamp inside of Vibe Academy. But when it comes to this game here, it's just very basic. Like if we go to GLM 5.1, I think that's probably one of the best examples. If we go to Breakout here, so this is the Breakout game that GLM 5.1 created, and GLM 5.1 has one of the best design capabilities, and you'll notice right away, like, okay, obviously this did a much better job. There's animations for breaking blocks. The blocks are colored different colors. There's animations when the ball hits the paddle. Those are the subtle things and the unique designs that are needed to create proper UI design. Whereas what Qwen 3.6 did, in my opinion, is it kind of just created a very, very simplistic design, right? And it did the same thing with this snake game. I want to show this one to you guys as well. So this snake game, let's see, can I restart here? Okay, the snake game, it just created a box. And yes, it's functional, but it's just very, very simple and not very unique. There's not really a lot to it, right? It literally just created the game, which is fine. That's what we asked for. But when it comes to creating unique design, I'm not seeing it with this model. But let's go over to the speed, because that's another huge part about this model that you want to know, is it's very good when it comes to speed. Look at this, 158 tokens per second, making it faster than Claude Opus 4.6, Claude Sonnet 4.6. It's faster than Gemini 3.1 Pro. It's faster, obviously, than some of these slower GPT 5.4 models, and it's faster than Minimax M2.7. It's way faster than GLM models. So in terms of speed, I have to say I'm very impressed with this Qwen model family, because look at the difference between Qwen 3.5 plus and 94.6 tokens per second. They had a huge jump to 158 tokens per second, and that could potentially slow down as they do this rollout, but initial benchmarks show that this is actually a very fast model. So very impressed here. And now here's our 3JS animation. So first of all, this is 3JS here, so you can see that it did update the background. But again, look at the UI here. Look at how things are uncentered. Look at this button here. Why did it make this button like huge? Just initial thoughts about the UI is this is not a very capable UI model. We'll see. Let's go back over to the OpenCode and see, okay, this one here, how good is it with the API? It's running this here. It also looks like our app is done. So it already finished our React app. So let's pull up another terminal here. Let's go over here. And let's just launch a single terminal inside of BridgeSpace, and I'm going to CD into my desktop. I'm going to CD into Vibe Academy, and let's actually pull up. I think it was what CD Vibe. What was it called? It was Vibe Academy. Okay, Vibe Academy Mobile. Okay, Vibe Academy Mobile is what it created. So let's drop this in. Okay. And then now let's just run npx expo start and see if it was able to actually create a React Native app on one shot. So let's launch the iOS simulator. And typically, even with GPT 5.4 or Claude Opus 4.6, this is a pretty challenging task to be able to get something running on the first try when it comes to React Native. Typically, it'll take maybe 1 or 2 shots. So even if this doesn't work the first time around, we'll give it another shot. If it does work the first time around, I have to say, I'll be pretty impressed. Here's the simulator launching, and it already looks like we've got some issues here. Oh, wow. Okay, chat. This is actually very impressive. So it was able to launch and get this. First of all, again, what you're seeing with the UI capabilities of this model are very bad. Like here, it tried its best, but look at the scrolling. I mean, we'll give it another shot here. Let's pass in a follow-up. I want you to update the UI of that front end home screen. Just make it as simple and sleek as possible and give it an OF background. Make it compact, no scrolling. Just have the Vibe Academy logo at the top, the slogan in the center, and then the buttons at the bottom. Make it super sleek and modern. Okay, so I just dropped this in. We'll see if it's able to follow up on that shot. The homepage, the hero section that you created is absolutely terrible. The buttons look terrible. They're super wide. I want you to try this again. Completely revamp the hero section to be clean, simple, and have the slogan centered, super clean call to action. Okay, so we'll try this again. But here, what we can see is that like most of the tests that we're doing right now is front-end design, and it would be nice if we could also test out some back-end. So I do want to give it like a full stack feature here in a second to just see, okay, like how capable is this model when it comes to back-end. I will say it seems like the speed on it is pretty good. Like this one is already dropping in updates. This one, the welcome screen already finished, which that's super impressive. But yeah, I mean, code with intention, master AI-powered development, that's okay, right? But I think that here, it's another example of, okay, this is not that great at UI. Like, let's even just test this. Let's change the model here, and let's just switch it to a GLM model, right? Let's change to GLM. I want you to try that again, revamp the welcome screen to be modern, sleek, and have the call to action with the buttons and the slogan, etc. Super clean. Okay, I don't know. Super clean. Let's just see what it comes up with, right? Okay. I don't know what that code is for, but okay. So this here, it did revamp this. The speed, I think the speed is really good. It did just say that it updated that home hero. So let's go to the home hero and see how the home hero is doing. Localhost 3000. So this is the follow-up. And did it drop off? Hold on. Let's restart this. All right, let's restart. Go over here, and what happened here? Okay, so it actually closed out of this, which is fine. But let's relaunch this now, and let's open this back up. Okay, so this is, okay, I will say it's not good, but the follow-up prompt, it did, yeah, I mean, I don't think that you can say that this is good UI. Also, I didn't never see my background actually get dropped in. It seemed like that OF background never actually, because this is not OF. But I will say the animation there is nice. It's just using 3JS for that. But this is not a home hero that I would want to ship with, obviously. Like I said, I think we're seeing that the UI capabilities are not great, but the speed capabilities, you could do a lot of iterations very quickly with this model. But let's now see what GLM5 did with the app. So that's a little bit better. The buttons are better. They're centered. It will need like an actual Vibe Academy logo, but that actually is better than what Qwen did. I mean, if we were to revert that and look at what we had before, it just didn't look as good. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, honestly, UI design capabilities not looking great. But with that being said, I'm gonna now test out the API capabilities. So let me find a good test that we could do, and we're gonna put this to the test not on the front end, but on the back end. Okay, so this is going to be a full stack test of Qwen 3.6. So we have Vibe Academy database, we have the Vibe Academy UI, and then we have the Vibe Academy API. So the database layer, the backend layer, and then the front end layer. And you guys can listen to my prompt here. I want you to create a new table for newsletter signups. This should be a simple table that collects users' emails and is able to store them in the database. You will need to create a new table for this. You will need to generate and run the migration. You will need to add this new table to the API. You will need to create the new module in our Nest API for this. You will need to create the routes for this and then hook this all up to the front end. This is going to be a public route, and you need to create all of this across the entire stack, review this, and implement accordingly. Okay, so just like a very broad prompt here, but the question is, can it actually create the table in the database, generate and run the migrations, create the type ORM entity inside of the API, create the Nest layer so that we actually have our root set up and our controllers set up, and then can it actually implement this in the front end? And I'll even give it a quick follow-up. I mean, it'll probably put it in somewhere in, I didn't give it much to work off of, right? Like, it'll have to be pretty intuitive here to know, okay, like, I'm gonna put this in probably in the footer. Is there anything? Okay, so here it is. There's enter email here. So we'll see, but you know, there's so much work that needs to be done with this site, but I think that I actually would be interested in exploring working on this site. But it says that now I'll create the newsletter sign up across the whole stack. And this is what I'm seeing with this model is the speed of this is actually like kind of off the charts. We saw it in the BridgeBench speed test, but even in practice here, it's already generating the migration and running the migration. That's pretty impressive. It already wrote the database table. You guys can see here, that's it running the database migration. It was generated successfully. Now it's going to run it. So let's see if it's able to successfully run. And yeah, so it already created the table, generated the migration, ran the migration. Now it's going to run it through the API. And this is going fast. And I'm not getting rate limited too bad through OpenCode Zen. I got rate limited more so on the OpenRouter endpoint. It's creating the DTOs now. And I mean, guys, this is pretty impressive. We can look at what it's doing here. Look at this. So it literally just got an email and a source. So that's the DTO there. Very, very simple. I like what it's doing. The only thing that we'll have to see is it able to actually do it full stack across the entire stack and then update, and we can test this and it works in one shot. Now, what we saw with the React mobile app, if we go back to that, like I said, usually with React Native mobile apps, if I gave that to Claude Opus 4.6, this setup here was actually pretty impressive that it did. Now, the UI for it wasn't great, but just the ability to create a new React app, a React Native app, and then actually create it and then implement it and then make it so I can launch it, that's pretty intuitive. So I was impressed by its one-shot capabilities, even though the UI is like a little bit crappy, you know, pretty good. Like, it does get the job done. And one thing I want to say while this is running, it looks like it's, yeah, so it's still working on this, is if you do take into the fact how cheap this model actually is, like if we kind of just go over here and pull, I want you guys to be able to see it as it works, but let's pull this back up. And let's look at Qwen 3.5 because we don't yet have the pricing for Qwen 3.6, but we do have the pricing for Qwen 3.5 plus. So most likely, like I said at the start of the video, this is what we'll probably be dealing with pricing-wise for the model. 26 cents per million on the input and $1.56 per million on the output. That is like outrageously cheap. I'm pretty sure, what is Minimax M2.7? Is it cheaper than Minimax M2.7? Let's see. Wow. So yeah, this model is, at least on the input, yeah, on the input, it's cheaper by 4 cents. On the output, it's a little bit more expensive than Minimax, but relatively cheap. You know, especially if you compare this to Frontier models. Now, what happened here? Did I get rate limited or what's going on here? Did it just stop? What happened? Okay, no, it's still working. Wow. Okay, so this looks good. It says I now need to update the service index.ts file to export the newsletter service, which is the exact thing that it should be doing. So it's following the scaffolding that's already in place inside of the code base. So I like what it's doing. It's following the correct scaffolding. Now, the only question is this going to actually be able to work? So I'm going to let this finish up here, and then we'll test it on the front end, and we'll test its one-shot capabilities. But to me, this was able to complete this relatively quickly, and it was also able to follow the existing scaffolding. Now the only question is it going to work? And you can see it's hooking it up to the footer here. So let's let this work through, and it looks like it's done. Literally 2 minutes and 41 seconds now. Okay, 2 minutes and 41 seconds. Let's check the API and make sure that there's no issues in the API. This is all good, all good, all good. Perfect. So we are ready to test this. Let's pull this up. Let's just hit it with a refresh real quick and make sure. And then let's go down here, and you can see that it did change this a little bit, but let's just drop in, let's do BridgeMind apps plus 10 at gmail.com. Subscribe. Wow. So successfully subscribed, checked your inbox for updates. So you guys can see it. I mean, in terms of the like Chinese models, that's pretty impressive. I'm not a huge Chinese model person because in my opinion, it's like, why would you be using Qwen 3.6 when you can have access to Claude Opus 4.6 or you can have access to GPT 5.4, which are obviously way better. But if you are somebody that's kind of like a budget vibe coder, this model is free right now. And I have to say, this is the leading Chinese model by far, and it's because of a few different factors, not just the performance. If you look at Minimax M2.7, it has a 204,000 context, and then if you look at GLM5, it says it wrong on OpenRouter. This model has a 200,000 context. It says 80,000 on OpenRouter, but I'm pretty sure it's 200,000. So what I think is different about these Qwen model families, especially with Qwen 3.6 Plus, is just the context window is huge. Whereas, hey, if I'm working with that application there and I'm working full stack, database, API, UI, Qwen 3.6 Plus is able to actually process all those tokens, and it's able to work across the whole stack. And as you guys can see, it just one-shotted a full stack feature. It wrote the data table. It actually generated and ran the migrations in my database. It added everything and added all of the scaffolding to my API, and then it integrated all of it and hooked it up into the front end. That's pretty impressive, and it did it relatively quickly. So we could see it on the speed, the speed of the model on BridgeBench. You know, if we go back, super fast model, much faster than Qwen 3.5, and I'm impressed. I'm probably not going to be using Qwen 3.6 Plus preview specifically because it is a free model and there is rate limiting and they're going to take all your data. So I'm personally not going to use this. But in terms of, hey, what do I think about it? I'm pretty impressed. For people that are on a budget, this is actually a very capable model and it's open source. So with that being said, I'm going to end the video here. I'm not going to put the BridgeMind stamp of approval on it because I don't really like Chinese models. I think that they are cheap, and in production code bases, they will cause issues. So for this Vibe Academy project, it's like, okay, it got the job done, but did it get it done right? That's the question you should be asking yourself when you're using these models. But I will say, if you are using Chinese models, definitely check this out. I don't know if you can run this locally on like a DGX Spark or your local machine. It probably is pretty has a lot of parameters, but definitely check this out if you are an open source person and if you are a Chinese model person. I'm not going to put the stamp of approval on it, but I will say out of a lot of the Chinese models that I do test, I'm impressed that the tooling behind it, very good on the tooling. This is a very good release, whereas with the GLM 5.1 release, that release was not good. The tooling was broken all over the place. It was expensive. But this release, I'm pretty impressed with what they did here. So keep going, Alibaba. I'm impressed, but not going to put the stamp of approval on it just yet. You're not going to see me using this in my personal vibe coding workflow. But with that being said, I hope this was helpful for you guys. If it was, make sure you like, subscribe, and join the Discord. And with that being said, I will see you guys in the future.